Here we go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight is one of my favorite authors who I've wanted on the show forever and finally bumped into and invited, Miss Lucy Knisley. It's you're the second one of my second second cartoonist that I knew from their awkward 20 something comics.
Oh no.
who who I then also read their comics to my grandkids.
Who was the first?
Jeffrey Brown,
Oh, okay. Yep.
you know, who has even more awkward 20 something comics. Your 20 something
Arguably,
comics are
yeah.
are not nearly as awkward as his 20 something
And
comics.
now we're both like nerdy suburban parents. Me
Right,
and Jeffrey,
right.
yeah.
Right. Like both Chicago area too.
Yep.
So it's one of those crazy things. I mean, you actually mostly come off cool in
Oh,
like Age
thank
of
you.
License, whereas Jeff and Clumsy it's almost a painful read sometimes. It's like, wow, you're really honest.
Yeah, there was this like really interesting period in autobiographical comics where people were very open about their sort of social foibles, and I miss that because now everybody is much more it's much more polished. Even if you're awkward, it's much more like owned in a way that
I
in
think
these
it's
indie
still
comics
in
it was.
the indie scene.
Yeah. Okay.
I think publishers have become a little bit more afraid of it just because they're doing the Jeff Brown, Lucy Knisley, Alison Bechtel thing.
Sure.
We want fiction.
Right. Yeah, we want it polished. I get it.
you know. And actually, that's still I think we're seeing more of those stories also from non cis white males.
Yeah.
Y-
Yeah,
you
which,
know,
there's different foibles,
right.
all new exciting foibles.
Well, and often a lot of the same stuff too,
Yeah,
which in some senses is their power,
definitely.
because it's like you read I Was Their American Dream, and it's like, well, I'm not half, I think it's Filipino and half Egyptian, but I relate to 80% of what's in here anyway.
Right? It's awesome.
So I finally read your Peapod books today, so I'm going to start with those
Nice.
because I've been meaning to read them like since the first one come out, but I like read way too many comics,
I'm sure.
um, and not enough YA comics because they're like I have a 6 and 4 year old grandchild, and like I always have to do the math in my head for my own kids, which is really kind of disturbing. You'll get there one day. So let's see. 2000 so 2024 and 27-year-old kids.
Wow.
So it's like your books are actually right between them right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you sort of just missed me.
Yeah, no, I've read the baby one to my granddaughter to
Oh,
put her to
nice.
sleep. Not long
Oh,
after it came out, it's like I had a screaming child on my lap, and I'm like, okay, what comic can I read her? And Lucy had a kid's book come out yesterday. Bye.
perfect. Yeah, that must have been perfectly timed because my kid is
Right.
9, so it would have been like just about out when your granddaughter was born.
Right. Um, so yeah, actually maybe it was my grandson. My grandson's the older one.
Oh, he's the older one. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
he was
that
the
was
6 year old.
got it.
So yeah. Yeah, you know. So let's start with Peapod Farm, but then I'll probably go back to like biography just
Cool.
because I love people talking about how they get to where they are. Um I mean, I guess the obvious part is Peapod Farm, I assume, started because you suddenly had a younger person to write comics for. Um,
Yeah, I've always wanted to do fiction, and for me, it's always seemed harder. And I think it's about this idea that when you're writing something that happened, it's like a provable, verifiable story. Like it's out there, it exists, you can't deny it. And with fiction, it all happens inside you. So it seems much more vulnerable to me to write a story that you create entirely on your own. And so I was really challenged by this idea of writing fiction, and I wanted to do it. And when you become a parent, you become more vulnerable and you become maybe more private. And I didn't want to exploit my kid as much as I'd been exploiting
What?
myself for so long. So I was like, all right, it's time to like make the push, do the fiction. And so the Peapod Farms books are kind of fiction with training wheels on because they're based on my own experiences of adolescence.
Right. Um, how is it different to write middle grade YA versus writing? I mean, I guess most of your comics aren't quite adult comics, but they're certainly not aimed at the younger audience. I mean, was that
Yeah.
something that you consciously did, or did you just start writing the stories and let the agent go, "Hey, I think we're selling this to a YA market"?
No, I set out to write a middle grade story. I wanted to tell the story of myself at age 12, basically. And so I was like, if I'm talking about this, I want to sort of make the book that I would have wanted at age 12. And I don't think that that changes a lot about how you write the story, but it does keep a reader in mind, sort of. So when I was 12, I was going through my family's divorce and sort of learning that I didn't have a lot of control in the world and that there could be adults in my life that were jerks and that
Right.
I had to deal with this. And so I wanted books that explored these ideas, these ideas of sort of found family and family dynamics changing. And this also sort of coincided with the pandemic when a lot of kids were having to move or having a lot of their control taken away from them, having to deal with a new scary situation. And so I had those themes in the back of my mind. And with fiction, I found that it's a lot more show, don't tell. With a lot of memoir or autobiographical comics, there's a narrator always, there's sort of the viewpoint is always present, but with fiction, it really changed that. So that was the biggest change, I think, more than the age range that I was writing for.
Okay. Um, what was most fun? I mean, the books they deal with all of that difficultness, but they do so with a sense of joy that is that delicate balance, and what makes a book like that so powerful? What's the difference between a book with a moral where it's like, oh, you're supposed to get the moral, and a book that you love to read and relate to and get various morals out of? Um, so like you certainly your joy and love for both the characters and the story shows through.
Good.
Um,
I try to keep the joy and the love and the pleasure in all of my work. I think that that's a kind of a core tenet in a lot of my comics that I make. Sometimes to a fault. I've read reviews of my work that say that, she's too cheerful. She's got too many
Never
like
read the reviews.
positivity. Oh God, I know. I've learned now never to do that. But
I
but I
say
do
that to all of
remember.
my friends, and I have like the number of friends of mine that read the like League of Comic Geek
Oh God.
reviews. I'm sitting there going, dude, you're fine. You
Right.
did fine. It was great.
Do not
but
venture into
but
Goodreads.
but
Yeah.
but Comics Geek 148 said, and I think
Oh.
maybe he had a point. It's like, no, 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 he didn't.
Yeah, I just think that in a lot of sort of more literary or um, kind of critical circles, people want to read a serious story. They want the trauma and the darkness and the misery, and that for them makes great literature. And for me, I have always thought that there should be a celebration of pleasure, that is just as profound, that pleasure and joy and happiness. And these books do deal with difficult subject matter, but I wanted there to be this arc of the main character, Jen, kind of finding the good in a bad situation and learning to advocate for herself, learning to sort of figure out what made her happy, what brought her peace in this kind of changing situation. So for me, that was really the focus of the book. While also I was trying to do a very sneaky thing, which was talk about food cycles and food
Yeah,
systems and where the food in the grocery store comes from. Because so many
yeah.
kids, especially in America here, aren't aware of where that food is coming from. They don't think about it. It just
Comes
shows
from
up on their
the
plate.
refrigerator section at
Yeah,
Jewel.
exactly.
No?
That's where it comes from. It comes from, mom putting it down on your
I mean,
plate. And
I thought there was like a factory underneath the refrigerator, and like you take a chicken out and a new one just is created and comes up,
yes,
right?
it's 3D printed into the
Right.
cooler. Yeah,
The ones you see at the farm, those are just for petting. Those aren't the
right.
ones we eat.
Yeah. And as like a very sensitive, animal loving child who grew up in agricultural country, I
Right.
was privy to all of this. I had to learn about food systems, and it was very profound to me because I love to eat. I'm a huge fan of food, and to sort of take part in its growing and its production and learn about where it comes from and the effort that goes into it and meet the stewards of the land that kind of bring it
Right.
to life. And that was a real revelation for me, having been a city kid in the past,
Right.
to be like, oh, there are good things about like living on a farm. You can
Right.
get this incredible fresh food, you can participate in it. It's like it's so cool to get to.
But it's still hard when your bacon has a name.
It is very hard when your bacon has a name. And as somebody who's getting older and becoming more aware of the way that the things that I choose to eat affect the planet around me, and to make more ethical choices. I think kids are aware of that early on, but they don't
Yeah.
have necessarily the tools to kind of instruct them and where this stuff is coming from. So
I
it's
mean,
not my like, don't eat meat. It's choose to
that
eat
was
ethical
actually
meat.
your
Here are the
really,
farmers.
really insidious slide in there. Talking about how ecological eating sweet bunny rabbits are.
Yes, that it is more ecological to like buy, and it's more ethical to buy from like a small farm that, raises animals that don't make a big impact on the earth. And, they do adopt a bunny at the end of it. Like it's
They
shown
do.
that you can
They
have a
do.
bunny as a pet also, but yeah, but I
Fred
wanted kids to kind of
survived.
get a little bit of the taste of what it's like to be in 4-H, which is partly animal
Well,
husbandry.
and I did appreciate that you made it like the punk girl that explained why
Yeah.
killing why eating the rabbits was actually possibly good for the world.
Right? Better than some meat, better than like factory farming,
I mean, it's like I wanted to laugh, scream, and cry all at once because it's like
which is exactly the proper
this all
response to that
makes sense.
information. Yep.
I get this, and I'm laughing because of the way it's being delivered and the way Jen is totally won over by this cool girl versus like jackass boy.
Right. It's just sort of heartless about it.
Right. But at the same time, I'm going, but Fred.
But the bunny, I know. Hold on a second. Sorry, I have a visitor. Hey, sweetie, I'm doing a podcast right now. Can you come back later? Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Gotta steal the blanket. I get it.
Yeah.
We have visitors. Visitors are cool.
Thank you.
I I was introduced to a I forget if it was a stuffed bunny or a stuffed teddy bear one time when I was talking to Alex Cormack that we were informed had his birthday the next day, which was news to
Oh,
Alex, but like we were informed seriously enough that he's like, okay, I gotta go plan a birthday party.
right. Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, that's fine. I like that cartoonists are human beings. It's
Oh,
allowed.
yeah.
I like to remind our listeners to pay cartoonists so that they can be human beings that eat.
Yes, so that I can continue to buy comics for my child and raise the next generation of comics enthusiasts.
Right, right. Um, so that's actually a good place to take us to give me your comics biography. And when I say that, I don't mean your bibliography. I
Got
mean,
it.
we'll certainly do that, but like, what comics did you fall in love with as a child? What comics stuck with you? What made you decide this is what I want to do? Which ones have changed how you think about comics? Like, give me your like meaningful reading history.
Got it. Okay, so I came up in like the 90s and like I was born in 1985, so I really started to get into reading comics in the late 80s, early 90s, and at the time comic shops were not really set up for little girls. So
They're
I would go
almost
and
set up for little girls now. You
they're
go to
much
one of the ones that
better.
is.
Yes. Yes, I do. We love challengers, and there's always a panoply of little girls there. The last
Right.
event I did, a Girl Scout meeting, actually attended the event, which was really fun.
What
But
we were
anyway,
going to, but instead we were there's a zine fest in Minneapolis
oh
that
yeah,
we helped get across the line one year, and since then it's like they're sad when we don't come up.
you gotta go to
So,
that.
so
That's fair. That's totally understandable. I
but my
do,
wife is like, but Lucy's at Challengers.
you know what? I am always at challengers. I had
And
two
that's
events
what I
with them
said.
this past year.
I'm like, there will be other opportunities. And if we ever have her on the podcast, maybe we'll hit it off and we'll just invite her to dinner and just
Great. Sounds great. I love dinner.
there. Yeah, see, I knew this about you.
Yes, it's pretty
And
obvious.
breakfast and lunch and
Hmm.
snacks. Yeah,
Yep, all of it.
yeah. But let's go back to I'm sorry, I
Got
didn't mean
it.
to.
Okay, so yeah, so comic shops a little hostile. I got into reading comics, of course, from Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh yeah.
I was like the perfect age for
Okay,
Calvin and
now I have to
Hobbes.
interrupt again for just a second. Did you manage to
Please.
look at any of the original Calvin and Hobbes while you were
At the
in
Billy Ireland.
Columbus?
So I've been to the Billy now 3 times, and the first time I went, I was like, I'm I'm coming. I'm bringing my kid who was at the time 6, and
Right.
I've pulled them out of school. And I really want to see Raina's show before it closes because I didn't make it to
Okay.
the opening. And I was like, all right, we're going to drive 6 hours. We're going to go to the Billy Ireland. And I wrote them ahead of time. And I was like, hey, I know you guys like aren't open on the day that we're going to come. Would it be okay? Do you think you could like let me take a peek? And they were like, yeah, 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 totally. And we'll take you behind the scenes. We'll show you all kinds of stuff. What are you interested in? And I was like, well, I know that Bill Watterson is an Ohio guy. Do you happen to have any of his originals? And they were like, oh,
All of them.
we got you. So it was so wild because, first of all, we got to see the mind-blowing show,
Oh yeah,
Facing
no, that was a great
Feelings,
exhibit.
which was
Yeah,
amazing. And
yeah.
then, secondly, they took us behind the scenes and we got to see all this cool stuff, including like a bunch of
Who,
early Foxtrot
who,
that we had.
yeah, who gave you
Like,
the tour?
I
Was it
thought it was Anne who gave me
okay?
the tour originally, Anne Droz.
Okay, I
But
got mine from Caitlin and Jeff Smith, so I know
oh,
what you're talking
cool.
about in
All right.
terms of
Yeah, and it was just so awesome. And
right.
they brought out all this stuff. So my kid, my 6-year-old, has been in the car for 6 hours, and we get there, and I'm like, "We're going to a museum." So my kid's like completely overstimulated in this museum, and just being shown like pages of original Bill Watterson art that I'm just like, crying blood about.
Yeah.
And my kid's kind of like, "Yeah, I got that book at home," like whatever. This is cool, I guess, kind of whatever. But yeah, so I got to see tons of it. I think it's really interesting that like in the first Calvin and Hobbes strip, Calvin has blonde hair that like goes over into his eyes and stuff, which is
Right.
exactly what my child looks like. So I was like, I birthed, having read so much Calvin and Hobbes, I birthed the original Calvin. But anyway, yeah, so Calvin and Hobbes, of
So are
course.
you gonna spike his hair at some point now, just
It
to
like
go full
resists
on?
all spikage. It
Uh,
wants to just be in the face at all times. It's sort of
yeah.
a more of a beaver situation than a
Gotcha.
Calvin situation at this point. It's like too long too. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, but Calvin and Hobbes was my my intro.
Your gateway drug.
My gateway drug. And I'm
Mine too.
really fortunate. It's all of my comics career is about timing. Like I was the perfect age for Calvin and Hobbes when it was being published in newspapers, when the books were coming out. And I got into comics publishing at the time when pu big publishers were like, "Oh, what are these graphic novel things?" So I just feel really lucky that I kind of timed everything out really perfectly.
Just right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Calvin and Hobbes to what?
Calvin and Hobbes, I got into Archie comics after that because
Okay.
there were like women in it, there were girls in it who I was like, okay, that's cool. And a lot of comics that were coming out in the late 80s, early 90s, the only women were sort of like wearing the
Yep.
high-waisted
Uh-huh.
bathing suits and
Hmm.
hitting each other and having dramatic sort of duels and things. And it just sort of wasn't my scene. I just wanted to read fun stories. So I got into Archie comics. I was a Archie Club fan club member, and I got them in the mail. I was a subscriber. I got them in the mail, and that was really cool. And I could buy them at the local like newsstand. I didn't have to
Right.
go into the place where the mean guys were sneering at
Right.
me over their long
Right.
boxes. So I was into Calvin and Hobbes. I was into Archie. What else? Oh, I really loved Tintin and Asterix and
Good stuff.
Obelix. I had a little bit of
Nice.
like the European stuff, but my mother is like an artist and a chef, and my father is a literary professor. And so my dad thought that the comics I was reading were not very highbrow, not very literary. And I was reading other stuff too, but he was like, this Archie comic is like not, it's not Cyrano de Bergerac. Like, I don't really know what she's
I
doing with
mean,
this.
some of the more recent ones have been close.
I agree. And
I
then
mean, there
my
was.
mom thought,
I got sucked into Archie recently,
oh, yeah, I
which I
mean,
didn't
they've
think
done
was
some
going to
pretty
happen.
incredible stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're getting
Yeah.
dragging us back in.
I mean, yeah, essentially, it was twofold. Like, Tom King wrote an Archie issue, which, like, I was going to pick up anyway. But then he and Dan Parent each put their top 10 Archie stories in the back of that issue. And it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, now I have a list.
Yeah. I was really into the really old Archies that they'd pull out. And it was like, this was not just sort of, it wasn't just about this time, it was made at this time. This was topical at the
Right.
time. And that really fascinated me that there was this
Right.
long running comic that was about teenagers through the ages and it
Yeah.
changed to reflect the popular culture. And that really
Right.
fascinated me as a kid. So I had all the Archie like eras
See,
books,
but
which I
you're
loved.
naturally an artist and I'm naturally a writer. So, like, the writing in those early Archie really drives me up the wall.
Oh, it's terrible and
It's so
slangy
bad.
and
It's
yeah,
so bad. I mean, I thought Stan Lee was normally not a very good writer, but like he makes the Archie guys make him look like maybe not Shakespeare, but Marlowe.
sure. Yeah. And it wasn't highbrow literature that I was reading, but
But the art, like as I've become more of an art guy, like I can appreciate what people love about the early Archie.
yeah.
I mean, it's got some serious storytelling chops.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure. And the
yeah.
character design, the character like,
Mhm.
characterization of each of the characters is so
Right.
good. Obviously, Jughead was the best character.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like this sort of weird,
At least until
weird
Kelly
guy who liked
Thompson got
eating
her hands on
hamburgers.
Sabrina.
Yeah, it's I don't some of the later stuff kind of freaks me out. Everything got too dark and gritty, but I really
Sometimes.
like
I mean,
again, I'm
Afterlife with Archie is a little dark and gritty, but it's also really good.
yeah, I mean Archie versus the Punisher meets the Punisher came out at some point when I was
No. The really great, I mean, that one did come out, but the great one, the one that shouldn't be good, but somehow really is Archie versus Predator.
oh yeah. That's the one
Alex
yeah,
DeCampi just knocked that out of the ballpark.
totally. Yeah, that was wild.
That had no business being good, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And so it was sort of my first introduction to the business of comics too, because I'd watch them pull these stunts and I'd be like, okay, I get they're just trying to sell comic. It's working. Like I'm
Right,
I'm gonna buy that.
right.
So it taught me a little bit about the business, I think. But my dad thought it was not literary. My mom thought it was not feminist because of the sort of Betty and Veronica fighting over
Right,
Archie
right,
dynamic.
right.
And so, in order to get them to continue to subscribe me to the mail order of these books, I had to kind of defend them to my parents, which meant looking at them critically from a pretty early age and being like, okay, I have learned this vocabulary from here and like the story structure. And I'd be like, Dad, guess where I learned that word? It was from this Archie comic. And I had to go to my mom and be like, in this story, Betty and Veronica have nothing to do with Archie and they just like go hang out. Isn't that cool, Mom? Like, so
In
it got
this
me looking
story,
at those
Betty and
stories.
Veronica decide Archie's a jerk
Yeah.
and leave him
That actually
behind.
happens in kind of a lot of them because
Right.
he messes up quite a bit. And like, I had to look at the characters and be like, okay, who do I relate to most here? It's obviously Jughead. And and like what is the deal with Big Ethel? And like what are we from a feminist viewpoint looking at this character? And so yeah, so I started kind of compiling these. I would make fan comics of them, of Archie comics. I have this one, or my mother, I should say, has this one framed, this Archie comic that I made. And it's drawn in like marker. It's so obviously drawn by a child, but it's really it's really bizarre because I think Jughead murders Archie, and Veronica decides that her true love is chocolate, and Betty and Midge end up together. And yeah, that's the crux of it. And my mother has it framed in her house.
I would too.
Yeah, the culmination of many years of
That's
Archie fandom.
well, beyond that, you're a New York Times bestseller now. So like when the time comes and Social Security has gone away and she needs to
Hmm.
like pay her medical expenses,
She's got
she
it in her
put it
back
up at
pocket.
Sotheby's.
I really should use it to apply for the RG people to hire me. Really, I should be like, I have literally been drawing this comic since I
I
was like
honestly don't
nine
even
years
think you
old.
need it. You just show them the Arnie stuff from actually, I bet you they've
Oh
seen it.
yeah.
I bet you if you even just sent them an email saying I'd really like to do Archie, they would immediately start working with you.
Oh man, I think I would be too intimidated to do Archie. It's like too close.
And you get that.
Yeah,
You
I'd
know.
think about it.
I think like I've talked to more Archie people than I thought just because like I didn't come to them through Archie, but like Tom's been on a number of times and like the first he actually let it slip on our air like 3 months before it was announced he was writing an Archie comic just because he was so excited because it was the first time ever that his kids thought he was cool for writing
Oh,
comics
nice.
because they're big Archie fans and Batman. Eh.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
My kid recently found the collected Adventure Time stuff
Okay.
that I'm a part of, and they're just getting into Adventure Time now. And I kind of, sort of filed away. It's at least 15 years old at this point, and my kid found it on my shelf and was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, I think I'm in there a few times. Like, yeah, check it out." And that was the first time that my kid was like, "This, you're what? You
You're
drew
cool.
Adventure Time?" And I was like,
You're cool.
"Yes, I made it."
Yeah, no. Alex Segura's been on a bunch of times too, and I knew him for his like crime stuff. And like he was an Archie editor.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God. Cool.
Matthew Rosenberg wrote Archie versus the Ramones.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
all sorts of people that like I never in a million years would have gone, "Oh, you're an Archie guy."
Again, it's this incredibly long running comic. Just gets
Right.
us all some point or another.
That well, it took until recently to get sucked into it, but now I find myself spending at least some time with Archie on a somewhat regular basis. Again, I read way too many comics, so fitting any one thing in, unless I'm getting ready for an interview or a book club or whatever, can be challenging. Um, but we deliberately devoted like a month's worth of episodes to talking about Archie just to give ourselves an excuse to dive in.
Oh, perfect.
So that might happen again.
That's
Uh, so from Archie, where do we go?
So then as I got a little older, I was reading a lot of Linda Barry because
Okay.
all the Marlis stuff was really great for sort of this feral child that I was. And then when I got into high school, I got into all of the Strangers in Paradise stuff,
Ah,
which
love
I
Strangers in
love. Oh,
Paradise.
it's so cool. And it was so great at a time when comics was getting dark and gritty and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
dark and gritty in certain ways, but it's really this human story about their
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
interactions. And I loved that. I was all about it. It was so great. And I remember I had this old Archie style jalopy that I would drive to school and back, and I would stop at the comic shop on my way home from high school, and I would buy the new issue of Strangers in Paradise, and I'd have it on the seat next to me, and I'd be driving home, and I'd hit lights, and I'd just grab it and like read it. In the age before cell phones, I would like read
I
it as
totally
soon,
get that, except that I would have been the one that didn't leave the parking lot until I was done reading it.
right? And frequently that would also occur, but I do remember
Yeah.
at one point like getting mega honked at because I was like poring over this new issue of Strangers in Paradise in the
Yeah.
car.
No, no, when I worked at a comic shop, I wanted to be the guy that sorted pull list stuff on Tuesday night because before I left, I would like have read the two or three comics that I wanted to read most for Wednesday.
Yeah, that's
It's
why
like
you
you
do
give
it.
yourself a 15-minute break every hour or so to read a comic.
Exactly. You have to know the
uh,
material to sell it. Like when I worked at the cheese store, you have to know how to talk about the cheese, so you have to eat it.
have you gotten to meet Terry
I
since you've
have
become
a few
professional? He's such a
times.
nice
I'm like a
guy.
complete fangirl around him. And I remember one time he came to the first C2E2 here in Chicago,
Okay.
and I was there. I was tabling, and this was the first one. So there were tons of hiccups with the
Right.
organization of C2E2. And one of the things they hadn't counted on is what a huge union town Chicago is, and how when you have a convention, you have to get the union guys to do everything, set up the tables, bring the chairs, all the stuff. You can't do it yourself. And so, like Reed Pop or whatever it was who was trying to throw C2E2 hadn't anticipated this, and like there were no chairs. There were tables, but no chairs. And I remember that I saw Terry Moore. I was like, oh, there he is. And we'd met before. Like he knew what a complete like how much I adored him. But I saw him and I was like, I'm gonna go say hi. And I went up and he was kneeling behind his table so that he could like sign prints and
Sure.
stuff. So he was like
Right.
kneeling on the floor of the convention hall signing prints. And I was like, I'm gonna get you a chair. I'm gonna get you a chair, man. And like I had to go and like got to talk to the Teamsters and get them to like bring a chair over. And I was like, this man needs a chair. This is an important person. He needs a
Here's
chair.
20 bucks. Give me one
Oh,
chair. I don't care about everybody else.
I'm at the top of the list. But yeah, I love Terry. I love his work. I think it's so awesome. And it really was very formative in high school. Obviously, I got further into like the Linda Berry wormhole. I got very into uh, obviously making comics, understanding comics, Scott McCloud stuff that was
Oh
like
yeah.
completely mind blowing at the time. And
Have you
actually, it was just understanding comics when I was in high school.
right.
And I went to college because that's what you do, I guess. And I'd had a really terrible time in high school. Shockingly, I know cartoonists, they really mostly love like higher education. They're super, super comfortable in like high school settings most of the time. But, all of my typical cartoonist, like undiagnosed ADHD crap aside, I had been to four different high schools in 4 years and I was miserable. I hated it. And
Oh, so you're the cartoonist and the new kid.
yes,
Oh God.
yeah. And, I was like goth for a while, like all kinds of stuff.
So you weren't doing
And
yourself any favors either,
no,
at least
no.
in
I mean,
terms
I,
of being the
I think I
cartoonist
was
and the new
because
kid.
those were the kids I wanted to be friends with, the weirdos. And like that was great. Those
Okay.
kids were
So it
awesome.
worked. So it was like the
Yeah.
hat and Peapod.
Yeah, it was like the hat, exactly. I would,
I get that.
roll in with my like my my ankh painted on my face, just like death from the game and
Right.
series, and be like,
Right.
yes,
Right.
yes, I am super duper cool.
Right.
And then all the
Right.
other ridiculous nerds would be friends with me. But what I didn't like was the institution. I didn't like the high school stuff. I didn't appreciate that stuff at the time. And, after a period of getting like, expelled and finding a new place and not liking that one. And anyway, I was like, okay,
How
what do
did you
I?
get expelled?
Are you implying that I don't seem like the hardened criminal type that would get expelled from school?
Yes. Yes, I am.
I make cartoons
I
about
I
baking
mean I
cookies
was
now.
just I was just I realized that the one book of yours that I hadn't read, other than the cat book, which I somehow missed you putting out and need to fix because I love
Oh
my
yeah.
cats and we need to grab that one.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but I somehow had not read French Milk. But French Milk starts out with you talking about learning to smoke because you're going to Paris when you're in your 20s. So
Yep.
yes, yes, I don't
Learning to
think you're
smoke
the hardened.
cigarettes. Learning to smoke cigarettes. When I was, yeah, going to Paris. But I I was like 20 at the time. But no, in high school, there was this whole ordeal that'll probably someday make it into a book when like the statute of limitations is over or whatever. But
Right.
I started out at a boarding school for kids with severe learning disabilities, and I was
Okay.
not diagnosed with a learning disability. I was just kind of like a weird artist kid. But my mom thought I'll send her to this school for kids with learning disabilities because they'll just know how to teach to the individual kid. But unfortunately, this was like, the uh, late
90s.
90s, early 2000 kind of
Right.
era. And
Not there
this
yet.
was when everybody was pretty underwater with learning disabilities. They didn't know how to medicate kids and they were really struggling. And so it was this
Well,
boarding
and
school.
and autism still wasn't a spectrum
Right,
and
exactly.
ADHD was still like a problem rather than a trait. And yeah, no, I get it. I'm
Yeah.
in special ed now and I'm autistic. So I like totally get what you're talking about here.
Yes. And I'm very grateful that she sent me to this school because it was my people. It was exactly my
Right.
people. And I loved all of
Except
my
for the teachers,
classmates.
probably.
The teachers were really doing their best, but they were totally underwater. I mean, they were just
Right.
putting out fires left and right. And there
Right.
were kids that were in high school and they couldn't read, and there were kids that like couldn't sit, and there were kids that like wandered into the woods, and there were, there were kids that were so medicated in such a way that they could barely function, and there were
Right.
kids that were under
Right.
medicated and they could barely function.
Right.
And so they were just doing their best, but all the kids were
And well,
incredibly
particularly because
dysregulated.
the expectation was still to make the kids act normal rather than to lean
Right.
into their strengths and use them.
Yes. And to its credit, the school was very good about like, okay, this kid needs to just like play the guitar half the day. I'm just gonna like that lean into
Okay,
that. This
that's
kid
good.
is like doing
That's good.
that, and this other kid needs this and that. And so they had these really specialized like individual learning programs, but because I didn't have a diagnosis at the time, I didn't qualify for that. So half the day was these individualized learning programs that I was not part of. So I would just kind of go do whatever at this boarding school. So I would kind of like, la la la. And they really just didn't have their act together. So they would take us into Boston, which is about like 4 hours away from the school, on field trips, like day trips on the weekend. And they'd load us into a van and take us into Boston and just be like, be free, 14-year-olds. And we were like, great, bye. And it was awesome and it was great. And we saw lots of really cool stuff and went to lots of really cool places. But there was this thing that happened where students that like lived in Boston would go home for the weekend, and in order to catch a ride back to school, they would just get on the van that had brought the boarding students down for the day trips. So the teacher in charge would be like, I came with 12 students and I have 12 students on the van, so here we go, we're going to leave. And that's how me and like six of my friends were left in Boston at age 14 overnight. Um, so this was the age before cell phones, and so none of us had cell phones.
And
And
none
we
of
were
you
like,
had
well,
quarters.
no, of course not. And we were like, all right, well, like obvious thing that we should do.
I mean, really quickly, because we've got a handful of younger listeners, I want to point out that the reason I brought that up is there used to be a thing called payphones
Yes.
where you could put a quarter in and make a phone call.
Yes. Or like, you could do the
Back
collect
before,
call thing,
right,
but you
back
had to be
before
like, hold on, I'm
6-year-olds
stuck in
had cell
Boston.
phones.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a group of 14-year-olds. We're in Boston. We're like, okay, well, obviously, we should probably get in touch with one of our parents who lives near Boston. Nobody did. There was like the closest parent was like 6 hours away. So we were like, well, okay, we'll call our parents and see who's willing to like come drive here. And there were too many of us to like fit in a car. So we were like, we need multiple parents to like come and get us and take us away. So, we did the like collect call thing, trying to get somebody to come pick us up. But the nearest parents were hours and hours away. So we are like, well, the obvious thing that we have to do now is go to the midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show in
Of
in
course.
town here in Boston. So that's where we're gonna go now.
I
So
mean,
we
I
just
assume the Red Sox were out of town.
probably, but we were also like a bunch of nerdy goth kids. We were not aware of the Red Sox. We were aware of the
I mean,
midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture
I'm
Show.
just saying that like the only sport that nerdy goth kids ever like is baseball, and the Red Sox are
Sure.
great, and Fenway's amazing. So like,
Excellent. This was probably not baseball season because it was cold. So we
well,
went
I
to
mean, it
midnight
is
showing the Rocky
Boston,
Horror Picture Show. It is Boston. It's usually cold, but we sought refuge in the midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which
and
was
they let
great.
you in, which is
And they
awesome.
let us in, which was awesome. And it's a whole production, and I'm sure
Right.
they have carried on this proud tradition. So highly recommend it. But we did that. We were kicked out at like, 3 in the morning, and then we were like, now what? We still have like 3 more hours before our parent gets here. So we'll just like hang out in the park, I guess, like because they wouldn't rent us a hotel room, like nothing. So
Well, of course
so
not. I mean, did one
it
of you
was
have a credit card?
no, certainly not. And it was not looking like the right crowd for the hotel room,
I
but
mean, this is the special ed goth boarding school kids, not
yes.
the
Not the
prep.
executive with the platinum
Right,
card.
right.
Yeah,
Not the Ivy League prep school boarding.
precisely. So anyway, this was the incident that caused my mom to go, you know what, maybe this school maybe isn't teaching to you individually enough. So let's try something else. So then I went to public school for about half a year, but because I had come from the school for kids with severe learning disabilities, the obvious thing then was to put me in special ed at this public school, and I was in special ed with kids with pretty severe needs, and kids that really required a lot of help. And of course, this was like an underfunded public school, so the special ed program was in like a box container on the like football field too. So it was
This is
just
where I'm
grim,
blessed that I work at a high school that special ed program is like one of its crown jewels rather
nice,
than
right? Like
yeah.
they should all be,
I,
but in
I
this
mean
case, they kind of were
we bought
hiding
a
us in a
we bought a
box.
we bought a like $1.8 million house for our transition kids so that we could
Nice.
teach them to like cook and do
Oh,
do
that's so
various
cool.
living chores in a house.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
rad.
apparently we got a deal on it because it was across from the baseball fields and the owners wanted to sell it and there kept being foul balls and like
Bonus.
but but
Yeah,
when the deal only brings it under 2 million, it's still like
that's gonna be a nice house. Yeah,
it's a very nice house. And
that's
then
awesome.
we retrofitted it with like an elevator and yeah, all the stuff you need for a special ed
That's
high
amazing.
school facility and like triple the
This
size
was
of the
like
kitchen.
a windowless, airless cell.
You didn't have
It
three
was terrible.
ovens,
We did not. We did
two
not have a
dishwashers.
panoramic view of the stadium. It was not that way. But
Yeah.
so I was in this class where I was like, this is not for me. And I would just kind of leave. I just kind of leave and go down the
Okay,
block.
now
So
I'm
my mom's
starting to
like,
see how you managed to get
yeah.
expelled.
Well, this wasn't even the school I was expelled from. They
Oh. We're not to
So
that
my mom
yet.
was like, all right, this is not it either. Let's send you to the preppiest school I can find in the area. And I was like, this is a bad idea. And she's like, no, this is going to be great. So she sends me
Is
to
this
a prep
still
school.
Hudson Valley area?
It is,
Okay.
yeah. And there's some
Okay.
preppy schools in the
Yeah,
Hudson
I
Valley.
believe it.
Mhm. So I come to the school and they're like, you have to wear like this very restrictive dress code. You have to do after school sports. You can't have a car here. You have to, even though you're a day student, you have to sleep here 3 nights a week. We don't have a room for you, so you have to make friends and just sleep on their floor. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing any of that stuff. Like I I had an after school job at the local community theater that had like rescued me from these horrible situations that I'd been in. And I was like, I'm gonna go to my job after school. I'm not doing sports. I'm going to my job. I need a car to like get here and get to my job. So I would have to park down the road and like walk to school and be like, I just manifested here. There's no
Right.
car. What are you talking about? Um,
It's not on school property.
it's not on school
Fuck
property. It's
off.
fine. It's in the woods.
Right.
Don't worry about it. Like,
As far as you're concerned, I
yeah,
don't have a car.
I don't have a car. I just exist here. Don't worry about it. So yeah, and I just like I didn't want to play sports. I just wanted to like go to my job and hang out. And I made friends with all the weird kids as usual, and that was great. And I was a day student, and I just refused to like sleep on. I think I spent one night in a common room, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is gross. So I just like refused to sleep there. So they kind of put me on like super secret probation because I wasn't playing by the rules. And then
I like
a
the
bunch
Animal
of
House reference there.
exactly, thank you.
Was it
Um,
double super
it
secret
was double
probation?
super secret probation, yes. And then so all of my nerdy, weird, neurodivergent goth friends were like, we should start a GSA, a gay straight alliance, like a student LGBTQ plus
Right.
club. But
Right.
in the time it was just called a GSA.
Now I
We're like,
remember.
we should start one. That would be great. It would be really cool. Because there was some issues with bullying and some like hate speech and stuff, and we were like, we should form a club so that we can like take this to the school and talk about that. And the school wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow us to start this club. They were
Yeah, I
like,
was about to
we
say,
don't need
I
that.
see where this is going.
Yes.
The school
So
was actually like, you want to exercise hate speech against our poor
right.
cis white boys.
Yeah, but you'll
They're
hurt the
so
soccer players'
oppressed.
feelings. Exactly. So we weren't allowed to start this club. So we were
You
like,
know
well, then
how
we're gonna
hard it
stage.
is to have to go into your backup Ivy League
So hard.
school.
I know. It's tragic. It's so sad for these poor
You might
people.
only become an appellate judge rather than a Supreme Court justice,
These poor people. It's so sad.
all because you besmirched them.
Yes, precisely. So we staged a walkout protest during like the morning meeting in the chapel of the school, and we staged a walkout. So they were like, "Okay, now you're on like triple, double secret super probation," and we were like, "Okay, whatever."
So is that six
So
times probation? Two
yeah,
times
I was just
three?
really not doing what they wanted me to at the school, and so then because I was a day student, of course, one of the boarding students was like, "Do you have a hookup for weed?" And I was like, "I don't, but like I have some that you can have. Like it's whatever." And we were off campus at the time, and I was like, "Here you go. Don't take it back to school." And of course, he took it back to school, and he got caught with it immediately. And they were like, "Where did you get this? If you turn in the person that gave it to you, you'll be totally off the hook." And I was turned in as the dealer because I gave him like an ounce of ancient, horrible weed that I'd
Well, this is where I have to ask you if you've read the comic The Re-Up.
three up. No.
The Re-Up, yeah.
Oh,
Chad
the
D'Elia,
re-up.
yeah,
Oh, I did hear about this. Yeah.
yeah. He was essentially the Georgetown hookup. He got to go to Georgetown because he worked there, and anybody who works there can go there. So he got a
Oh,
job in their
nice.
AV department and then went to Georgetown, has his degree from Georgetown. But while he was there, he was also like the guy that worked rather than got it paid for, and like light skinned black guy from Cleveland. So they assumed that he could find him the weed. And
Sure.
He could. So he became the Georgetown dealer.
Nice. Good for him.
And now it's been long enough that he's making a comic about it.
Good for
Also, he
him.
he lives in Amsterdam now, so
Oh, perfect. They can't
makes it
get him
easier.
there. So at the time, all these schools had these zero tolerance policies for this stuff. And even though it was all hearsay and word of mouth and there was no proof against me, they did this really, really shady thing where they like brought me into a room alone and they were like, we know that you're a dealer. And if
And
you
you're like, it's
cop to
not true. I
it,
didn't take any money.
I was like, I didn't take any money, man. And they were like, if you confess, we won't have to get the police involved
I
or put it on
learned
your
in
permanent
economics
record.
class that it's only dealing if money is
Yeah,
exchanged.
right. But like I was the
I'm a gifter.
supplier. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm just being nice. So so they were like, if you confess, we won't call the cops and we won't put it on your permanent record. Um, but if you deny it, we're going to call the cops and they're going to come and interrogate you. And I was 16, so I was like, well, I don't want that. So, okay, I did give it to him, sure. It wasn't on campus, and like none of this meets your, zero tolerance policy. But they were like, that's correct. It doesn't. We can't kick you out, but we can ask you to leave. And if you don't
Right.
leave, like, we're going to make your life miserable, basically. And we are like, we can ask you to leave. So
And
I was like,
remember, we can't ruin that poor boy's life.
of course not. Heaven forbid his, athletic career be tarnished. So I was like, oh, I fucking want to
Was
leave
was
this
was
place.
he a
This place
lacrosse player?
sucks. I
Was
think
he
he
a
was one of the
lacrosse
soccer
player?
players.
Yeah. Oh, okay, a soccer player. At least
Probably
that's
played lacrosse
that's
too. They all
that's
did.
almost a real athletic career. I'm convinced that lacrosse is just how white boys get sports scholarships.
It's galling because lacrosse is a Native American sport. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's even worse. Yes, I
Yeah.
understand.
Uh, anyway, so I was like,
But the
thank you
equipment
for
is
asking me to
expensive.
leave. It is very, I can make my own fucking reads. Anyway, but I was like, I fuck you, I'm out. See ya. And they were like, you can't come back onto campus until after all of your peers have graduated. And I was like, I will never be back here. Thank you very much. They have a zoo at this school, and at
So
one point,
here's my question. Once you became an award-winning bestseller, have you ever been hit up for money by this
I get fucking
school?
hit up by these people every year. They send me stuff about wanting money from them. And I like take great pleasure in throwing it in the recycling bin. I cannot believe they would have the audacity to ask for money from me. Anyway, they've never asked me to come and speak to their student population because they know it would not end well. But anyway, yes, they asked me to leave. I was like, fuck it, I'm out. That was my getting kicked out. It wasn't an official expulsion, but yes, then it was on my record.
It's a more fun story and one that you absolutely need to write at some
It
point.
would be great. I really would like to put it in a graphic novel someday. But it's really about, it's so interesting because I just experienced this wide swath of different educational modes and philosophies. And I wound up in like an art magnet school that was focused on weirdo kids who just wanted to make art, and it had this reputation for being like weird, and the kids were weird and they smoked pot and stuff, and I was like, this is my people, this is my home, I'm like so happy here. And so I spent the last 2 years of high school at this great like arts focused program, and it was
That's good.
wonderful, and they were like they completely saved my life. But I knew that no college wanted to take no like college for liberal arts was going to take me with this kind of transcript. So I was like, fortunately, I really love art. I've been at this art school. I have a strong portfolio. I'll be a fine artist. I'll be a painter. This is perfect. This is what I'm going to do. I love to write, but I'll just be a painter. It's all good. And so I
What
wound up
comics are you reading at this point, really quickly?
at
Because
this
because we
point,
left off with understanding comics.
this was still during the Terry Moore age, the Scott McCloud age, the I was reading a lot of what I could get of sort of indie zine stuff, but in upstate New York, it wasn't as easy to find. But I was
Does anything
fortunate
stand
enough.
out as something you remember?
Um, I had this great zine comic that had a. I mean, I read like a bunch of Yonan Vasquez then too, of course. but I had this great one called Ain't Nothing Like Fucking Moonshine, and I can't remember who made it, but it was like this prize to me because it was like this indie zine and it was so cool and like subversive and great. I'm sure we can find it online.
We will be looking for it while you're getting
Good.
into your college years.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, which has this great like fine arts program, and they make you do like performance art and sculpture and stuff in your first year. And I realized, like within moments of arriving at the school, that I didn't just want to make art. I wanted to write and tell stories. So I started making comics for the local school newspaper. Did you find it?
I think I did. Uh, They've got one at San Diego State. Do they tell me who made
Ooh,
it though? Graphic Emporium containing work by numerous contributors,
that
edited
checks
by
out.
Juana Spoons. Oh, look at that. We might have a digital copy of the,
Ooh.
at the Rhode Island School of Design zine collection.
Oh, excellent.
Ah, from
This was, I
1990.
will also say, the age of LiveJournal.
Okay.
So I had kept a blog since I was like 15 on LiveJournal, and I was posting comics to it and making very earnest blog posts. And among my LiveJournal friends are people like Jess Fink, Erica Moen, Raina Telgemeier.
Oh, that's a good group of friends to have.
It's like
We
all the same colleagues that I have to this
then I
day.
will assume, oh, it looks like there were multiple issues of it because there's a
Yes,
third volume 13 here.
that
Um,
tracks.
so like I had in the back of my head to ask you if you had read Raina and Scott's book yet, but now I am
Oh
just
yeah, for
assuming that
sure.
automatically you have of course read Raina and Scott's
I have, of
book,
course, read Raina and Scott's book. And in fact, the one that's coming out, Raina's book about facing feelings about the show that was at the Billie Ireland, I'm doing
which
a
I've seen
talk
the
with
show and
Raina.
I'm very much looking forward to the book.
Good. The book is awesome. And I'm doing a like an in conversation with Raina next month about that book. So that's
Oh,
gonna be really fun to
where and like because
it's through Anderson's books. So you buy the
okay,
tickets through Anderson's books, but it's at a nearby theater in the west suburbs of Chicago.
I might have to look into that.
Should it's so fun to do stuff with Raina because you just watch like
I haven't quite gotten to actually meet Raina yet.
oh, she's the best.
I, I, I was there when she was at CXC and she was talking to my friend Chris Schweizer, but I didn't have like the courage to go up and say, Chris, you wanna
Maybe do a little
introduce me?
intro. Oh,
um, Sometimes I have that ability and sometimes I don't.
that's fair. Usually Raina is like 12 adolescent girls deep, so it
Well,
can be
yeah,
hard to
the
like,
only time ever that I've seen Shelley Bond kind of shoot out of a room was because they needed it for Raina,
oh
and the
God, yeah.
line went all the way to because like Shelley had the auditory. Did you do any of the panels at CXC?
Yeah.
So you know the auditorium,
Mhm.
which was barely big enough for Shelley Bond, and I have no idea how it was big enough for Raina's like the auditorium at the library, not or at
Right.
yeah, at the public
The big
library,
one.
not the Billy. She did one at the Billy too, and that one also filled up. But
Yeah.
she had a talk and signing in the auditorium at
In
the
the big
public
auditorium.
library.
Yeah.
The not the big
I'm
auditorium.
sure it was standing room only. Like,
It was beyond standing room only. It was hard to get out because of the people waiting to get in.
of course. Of course.
Like the entire hallway was filled up down to the entrance of the library.
Awesome. That's
But
so
yeah,
great.
no, I remember when they were because I was hanging with Shelly and I remember when they were telling her she needed to leave and I just thought to myself, how many people in comics would they ask Shelley Bond to hurry up for? Like half the names I can think of that they might ask Shelley Bond to hurry up for, Shelley edited at one point or another.
Right.
So the person would actually be in there talking with Shelley.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like maybe Bill Watterson shows up and they're like,
Right.
okay.
Right.
But yeah, no, Raina, she's like, the level of
Well, you
amazement.
know
Like every
Raina,
time
so
my
if you're having
kids'
fun with
friends find out
me,
I
put a
know
word
her.
in. I would kill to talk to her and Scott
Oh
because among
yeah.
other things, our next joy, we have a book club because I have lots of book clubs, but we have a book club called the Joy Resistance Hope and Survival Book Club and Support Group, where
Cool.
where my friends from psychopharmacology join us. So we even have psychologists in the room, and we pick a book to either make us feel happy or to make us feel like we just did Bitch Planet last night, the
Oh,
Kelly Sue
cool.
DeConnick, Valentine Delandro. We've done Jeff Lemire's Underwater Welder. We did Squirrel Girl.
Fun.
So we try to do like a mixture of like inspiring to action and okay, we just need to be happy. And
Yes.
this next month is the Cartoonist Club because I just put my foot down and I said I've been suggesting this since the beginning. I need a happy book that also inspires to action.
Good. And I think it'll be really
So
good for
I'm being
the,
the benevolent
yeah,
dictator. It's my
like
podcast. This is what we're reading next.
good. For people that aren't like comics critics or read comics critically too, it's really good. It's a really good way to sort of talk about the psychology of reading comics. So that's
Right.
awesome. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, they're a fantastic group. You would enjoy them. Like Edgar,
Nice.
Sam, and Lee are Chicago area psychologists that use
Cool.
comics in their practice.
Great.
Like they'll use superheroes to help kids with trauma.
Awesome.
But they've been branching out from superheroes now that they've got me going, hey, read these too.
Good.
Um, yeah. So like the plan started hatching on what, November 7th, the day after the election, when it's like, yeah, we're gonna need a place to vent and not feel like the world is ending.
Hmm.
So you can join. I'll add
Thanks.
you to the list. There's a long list.
I'm
Not a lot of
sure.
people show up regularly, but everybody wants to know what we're reading, and then
Of
I'll bump into
course.
some places and like, I keep meaning to come, but I'm a working artist, or
Right.
I go to sleep early and I'm on the East Coast.
Sure. I'm very heavily involved in my local community independent bookstore here. I'm the
Right.
artist in residence, basically, and
Nice.
we do a lot of great
Shout
sort of.
out to your bookstore then.
It's called Booked. It's here in Evanston, Illinois, and it's awesome. It's little and it specializes in young readers, but it's got all
I think
ages.
I know this. I'm pretty certain I know this store.
It's a
Yeah.
completely radical, amazing store, and they do so many community events. And I'm involved in a small percentage of them, but I still do like almost something every month. So, like this month, we're doing a 20th anniversary Twilight crafting party, which is going to be completely unhinged. I'm one of the co-hosts for it, and we're doing like bedazzling the books, and I'm making um, laminated little figurines of Edward and Bella that you can put in your houseplants or your Christmas tree or your tree
When
outside
is
front.
this?
It is sold out, unfortunately, because it's a tiny
Uh,
bookstore, but it is next Friday, this Friday, I think. This
well, because
Friday.
I was gonna say like my wife's a middle school art teacher. She could just
Oh,
come and like help with the making
with the
certain everybody
crafting.
can do stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she
I
she'd
wasn't even
come.
thinking about it as like, oh, I was immediately thinking the my wife is an art teacher that's so up her alley. It's not even
So
funny.
perfect. Well, she should come. We do in January, we're going to do our third Hot Moms Night, which is just like a mom community building event. It's a after hours bookstore dance party. And I do live drawing at the Hot Moms events. The last one we did was 90s themed, and we like wore butterfly clips in our hair and listened to 90s music. And I drew moms onto Pokemon cards, which was really fun. And this time it's going to be Golden Girls themed. So
Oh,
I'm drawing,
so here is my question
yeah,
because my wife is the world's biggest Golden Girls fan,
she's got to come.
but she is not a mother, only a grandmother. Is
That's
that
fine.
okay?
That is totally acceptable. You do not have to be an
Okay,
official mom. You just have to embody the spirit of Mom's Night Out.
you said hot mom, so like I didn't want to steal the spot if like
No, it's not relegated to any one gender or
I did
anything. You
yeah,
just
I
have to
didn't want
know.
this to be one of those like 15 items or less and she shows up with 17.
No, she would be very welcome. So I'm doing a live drawing event where I will draw you with the Golden Girls. So
Oh
your
my God.
portrait goes here, with the Golden Girls, and you get to take this home. So it's all a fundraiser for the independent bookstore, and they give a portion of the proceeds to local charities, and it's really cool. So
This
I'm
is
pretty
this
well
is
tied up
this
in
is
like all of that. They're doing tons of really cool community events at
yeah,
that shop.
this is definitely something that we will need to show up for.
Yeah,
Um
highly recommend. I just did a
particular
visit.
what day of the week is it? I
Uh,
haven't found it
the
yet.
The Golden Girls thing isn't out yet
Oh, it's not out
because
yet.
it's not until January,
Right.
but it will be announced sometime probably in the next month. But the Twilight thing is unfortunately sold out. We're thinking about doing a second
Yeah,
because
I
there's
see
been
that.
such a huge amount
10-10.
of interest. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if 10, I mean, it's our anniversary weekend and I got her
Ah,
tickets for do you know Hillary Campbell?
no. Who's that?
Hillary Campbell is a New Yorker cartoonist who did the graphic
Oh.
novel Murder Book, My
Oh
Life
yeah,
as a
okay.
True Crime Junkie,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and now has her new book is The Joy of Snacking, and
Cool.
she's in town for like a stand-up event slash signing on our
Oh, perfect.
anniversary,
Oh,
and like
perfect.
Murder Book is what finally got my wife into comics, so like it's like yeah, we have to go do that.
Oh, for sure. What a perfect anniversary celebration.
Well, yeah, no, I had Hillary on. The one time Kelly's actually been on the podcast was when we had Hillary on
Oh, fun.
because
That's great.
because like well, first of all, I wasn't going to let her get away with not being on, but second of all, like half the reason Hillary was on was I sent the email going, for 10 years I've been trying to get my wife, who's an artist and loves storytelling, into comics and she we hadn't managed to break that barrier.
He was
And then
saving
I
it.
brought home Murder Book, and I didn't even bring it home for her. It was on a stack of library books, but she picked it up on her own. And the next thing I knew, she's going, "Do you have any Rick Geary?" And I'm like, "No, but you do. I bought it for you for Christmas last year and your birthday 2 years before." Turned
That's
out I'd been
perfect.
buying all of the right books for my wife, at least in terms of the true crime stuff. She discovered that
That's
she
like
loves
the,
YA comics on her own, and
oh, nice.
that's when she found your stuff. You know,
What did she think of my friend Jommer? Did she read it?
she's a big fan, and that's one of the few other people that she said hello to when I
Oh,
had Dirk
nice.
on. But then she felt bad because like he's got a love-hate relationship with that book because
Of
like he
course.
lived it.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, Kelly, you're fine." Because she was listening to the episode, and there's a point where I actually had to shut down my co-host. I'm like, "Tyler, I think he's ready to talk about literally any other book now."
Oh, no.
But no, Durf's a
That's
good
my
guy.
favorite true crime comic
It's a
crossover. I
great
love
one.
that one. Yeah.
It's a great one. I'm a big fan of the Green River Killer, though.
Oh,
That was really
yeah.
well done.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And again, Kelly's the expert. She knows them all. Rick Geary's made a career out of it, but it's mostly a historical true crime, but really well done historical true crime.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even remember all of the ones. Like, this podcast makes me abundantly aware of all of the things that I don't know as well as I'd like to in comics, but so does my wife because, like, I read more comics than almost anybody, but she gives me a run for my money sometimes. And yet we have minimal crossover except those handful of books that either I go, "Oh no, you really need to read this," or she goes, "Oh no, 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 you really need to read this." It's not like I wouldn't like most of the books that she reads. It's just that like
There's so much.
there's so much and I'm trying to cover so many different bases at once, you know. I mean, we
Yeah.
try I say we, but it's a lot me. I keep being told by my co-hosts that it's my show now. Um, I try so hard to cover so many different realms of comics. I
Yeah,
try not
it's
not to skip
vast.
the indie stuff, not to skip the superhero stuff, even though it's not. I don't want to be like the reason we came up with the tagline initially, the exploring, examining, and elevating the medium of comics was I am so frustrated with people that like, oh, I love comic books. Oh, what'd you think of the Spider-Man movie? I'm like, no, 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 no. First of all, superheroes does not equal comics. Superheroes is a genre in comics. Second, it was right there in the question you asked me. Movie.
Right.
Movie is a different medium.
Every time I teach to kids, I have to explain what a genre, a medium, like all you like
I mean,
I talk
don't get
about
me
like
wrong. I liked the new Spider-Man movie, but it's completely
it's a different thing. It's a different thing.
and half the time when they ask me about the new superhero movie, I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. And they're
Right.
like, "But aren't you into
Again,
comics?" I'm like,
vast.
again, I'm into comics.
Right.
Comics are my thing.
Exactly.
So I have to ask the question, if you're a Golden Girls fan,
Mm.
have you read Golden Rage?
No.
Oh, Chrissy Williams and Lauren Knight.
Okay.
It's like Golden Girls meets Lord of the Flies.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Okay, I will get
Yeah.
it. You have to
Yeah.
understand. So I have a 9-year-old, and they're
And
probably
you
the
work for a
most,
living.
and I work for a living, but I have to say my 9-year-old is the most well-read comics reader I
Okay.
have ever known. And I'm a professional. I work in the industry. Like I read a lot of comics. This kid reads comics at a rate that like you would not believe. And
I mean,
there's
I
so much
might.
like I'm sure you do. You're in education. Like that you see these kids
Well, and
and
also I like managed to read all three of your Peapod books while teaching today.
oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. So you know about it. It's just wild because when I was growing up, like we didn't have access to a lot of graphic novels, and now
This is
there's just
actually what I love about digital comics,
yeah, it's great. My kid
because
just
I can
read
carry a library in my backpack and it doesn't
pretty
weigh 1,000
incredible. I
pounds.
really, really want the technology to catch up though, because like the e-readers that are black and white don't really do
Nope.
the color comics justice. And then like I hate reading them on a screen, so I don't want to read them on like an iPad. And so my kid just
I
read
know, but that's essentially the only good way to do them right now
I
is an
know.
iPad.
I know, but like I just feel bad like giving my kid an iPad for 6 hours. But like they'll read an e-reader for six
Yeah.
hours and I'll be like,
Yeah,
that's
at least some of them have settings to help with the eyes or get them a nice blue
glasses.
thing.
Yeah,
Right. There are ways to deal with it.
it's
And
true.
it's
It's
and
just
it's and it's also
kind of
different when
yucky.
it's static images versus moving images in terms of
Yeah, but now they've like animated the comics, which drives me crazy also, where it's like
yeah.
zooms in like to the panel and I'm going, what is this?
But
This is
well, see, that's the other advantage of reading it on the iPad. You don't have to do that. Like when I
yeah,
read
you
on
can
my
access the
phone,
whole
I use
library
the
of all.
zoom in.
Yeah.
But
So
again,
it's
I'm
like this kid,
insane and
and
I
I'm
want to
just
read
trying to
comics in
keep up.
every free second.
Me too. I know, but like I just want to keep up with like a fraction of what this kid is reading, and just so that I can be like a part of their interests, and I want to
Well,
like know
so
what they're reading and
so
what they're
like
responding to
how
professionally.
does he deal with old ladies and bloodshed? You can
I'm
read it
sure that would
together.
really be maybe their thing, but they read a lot of manga these days, and there's some pretty fucked up shit in that. So like I'll look
So
over from
so
my
see,
book and be
here we
like,
go.
whoa, what's
Here we
happening
go.
there?
Read it with him.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I'm barely keeping up with a fraction of what my kid is reading, and I've basically let almost all adult comic readership fall by the wayside in the meantime. So
So
someday I will get back to it.
yeah. Yeah. What's his favorite thing right now? Or does he read so
Um,
much that he doesn't even really have a favorite?
oh my God, it changes so much, but they're really into D&D, of course. I know it shocks you to hear that I have kind of a nerd child, but
I
they,
don't know how that happened.
of course.
You did
Um,
something right. Like for a while, I didn't have a nerd child, and I thought there was something terribly, terribly wrong with me. But then he came around.
how could you even survive for a moment
Right.
about that?
Right.
Like, so Scott Kurtz was at the Crossroads show in Columbus that I was at, and I've followed Scott's work for a really long time, and recently he started making a series about kids playing D&D, and I like saw Scott across the room at the like special guest cocktail mixer and sort of like
Okay.
beelined like running full speed at him and was like, Scott,
That's who you're
when
running at.
yeah,
I was up in the balcony,
of course. I was like,
hiding out.
when is the next one coming out? Like, my kid needs to know what happens in the next one. When is the next one coming out? And he was like, oh, it's done. I handed it into the publisher. It's not out yet, but it's done. Would you like me to send you a PDF? And I was like, yes, please. So my kid just read that, and it was awesome, of course. And that was really great. He does this whole series about kids playing D&D and sort of like finding their place among D&D players, which is so great. So they're into that. And then they're reading, they just read like
Is
all
this
of Full Metal
the Table
Alchemist,
Titans?
Table Titans, yes.
Okay.
So the second book's not out yet, but it is very good.
Well,
Um,
see, that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about podcasting is
you
I've
get
been
the,
getting
right?
more and more reader copies of things.
It's like maybe my favorite thing about being an author is that
Yeah.
I meet other authors and I'm like, I really liked your first book. When's the next one coming out? And they're like, I'll send you a copy.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
like I
Exactly.
haven't just seduced you into this like purposely over the course of many months, but I really
Yeah.
did.
No. No. Like I can't tell you how gratifying it was the first time I got some sent something that hadn't even been announced yet.
Oh, yeah.
And then how much it sucked when it never got announced because things went sideways.
Oh
I'm like, but that
no.
book is so good.
Oh no.
So I have
Okay.
the
The
PDF of an
downside.
issue 1 of a series that never came out.
Wow. Oh, that sucks. I've
But
read some work by a friend that got the whole project got axed and it's
yeah,
painful.
yeah. But at the same time, I'm so happy that I have this great work by a friend of mine
Right? It
that
still
informed other
exists.
great work. I mean, I
Yeah.
can see I can see how I'm gonna probably give away a little bit to anybody listening. He got to do a run on Star Trek, which was like his
Oh, fun.
dream thing. But this was before that, and it was like the closest to Star Trek that he ever thought he was going to get to do,
Oh,
which is why
interesting.
it
Yeah.
crushed him when it didn't take off. But I could see some of the stuff actually go into his Star Trek run. So
Oh, perfect. It sort of
it worked
led to
out
it. All
okay
right.
for him.
Yeah.
It's doing all right, but it still sucks to have like like particularly because my friend is the writer. So like essentially what happened is the art was in the can, and the reason they never got to do more is the artist didn't get paid for what he did, much less the
Oh,
next issue. It's like, well, hey,
okay.
till
Yeah.
you start paying people.
Kind of how business works.
Right. Uh I mean, but I don't know if you've noticed there've been a handful of comics creators that have not thought that that was the way
You mean not
recently.
getting paid or
Well, I mean the like the comics publishers have thought that like
mm,
paying creators was secondary to trying to sell their stuff to Hollywood.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
There's a
still
lot
trying
of
to
that
find the
shit
I'm
going
still trying
around.
to find your talk with Raina at Anderson's.
Oh,
What was the date on it?
November 10th, I think.
Uh, that's why I'm only
Oh, were you
looking
looking
at
in
October
October?
right now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's next month.
November 10th.
I'm barely mentioned. Don't worry, like it's fine. It's just
Well,
basically
no,
like
I
Raina
kind
is
of
coming.
expect. Well, I
Congratulations.
mean, no, there's a decent picture of you there.
Yeah.
So, which one is it at? Oh, Downers Grove. Tickets. Are tickets still available? That's the $1 million question.
Oh yeah, they gotta be. They've barely started
I mean,
publishing
this
it.
is Raina.
It's true. But it's in a
Okay.
huge auditorium.
Yeah. No, it does look like it does look like it's still available. Okay. Good to know. Uh, I'll figure that out later. I just had to. I'd been down that rabbit hole for a while, but you kept entertaining me, so I had to
No
actually
problem.
found.
I'm glad you found it. Sorry about that.
No, no. I mean, like, this is a podcast. Like, our job is to entertain my mom and brother and whoever else is listening, not
Of course.
not to have me go down a rabbit hole and
Of
buy tickets.
course.
It does look like there's no option to buy tickets without a book, though.
No, you got to get a book. That's how Anderson's operates.
Well, no, see, I would absolutely get one book, but like if I go with my wife, like we
Then you
have to
get
get
two. And you
two.
get one as a gift. I know
Right.
it's kind
I
of
mean,
a.
that is something that I mean, I was expecting it to, oh, you know what? At the ticket page, have you seen this? Let me show you this. You're going to appreciate this. On the ticket page, her name might be bigger, but your picture is bigger.
Oh, all right. My picture. Oh, my picture is bigger. Ooh, thanks, like ratio of the picture. When Raina and Scott came to town, they did another thing at Anderson's at a big
Yeah,
auditorium,
I
and
so wanted to go to that, and
oh
I had
yeah,
already booked a podcast for the night when it was announced. And it's
I
like,
was on
well, I
book
can't.
tour. I had like an
Yeah, I
event
can't.
out of
Can't. I
town.
forget who I was talking to, but it was like somebody that I also like did not at all feel comfortable canceling on.
Yeah, of course.
At
But so
least
you're
not
at
until I met them and could like I think during the
no, you
thing.
know, like
Or like before or after when I mentioned it, they're like, I so would have been at that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that you would have.
so the we moved into our house little like almost 6 years ago, and our neighborhood is full of very well read little girls, which is awesome because I have this like ready readership for my early work where I'm like, how do you
Right.
like new chapters in my book? And it's great and they're wonderful. But they found out that I know Raina pretty early on because they were like, you're a comic artist. Do you know Raina? And I was like, yes, I do. And obviously this is like the most interesting thing about me to any young girl.
Right.
And so they were all a froth about her coming to town to do this thing with Anderson's, and they were like, "Are you going to be there? Are you going to like see your friend?" And I was like, it really sucks. I have to be out of town. I'm doing this other book event. It's like too bad. But my theory is that they think that have been lying about about knowing her. So I'm really glad I'm doing this. And like Raina asked me specifically to do the in conversation situation with her because I'm telling all of the little girls, I'm like, it's true. We know each other. I promise. Proof is coming.
Yeah, it doesn't get old.
No, of
That's
course.
the weirdest thing about, I've been doing this podcast for almost 4 years now, and the number of people I count among my friends that I feel like I have to pinch myself every
Yep.
time I say my friend so and so.
Yeah, it's awesome. The comics industry is so wonderful that way. It's a great
Right.
community.
And it's like, but they are
Mhm.
my friend so and
Yeah,
so.
I swear. I swear we know each other.
I have high hopes that like a year from now it's going to be my friend Lucy. I feel like
Yeah,
I might be wrong, but
no, for sure. I go to comics camp every year. Do you know it?
no.
Oh, it's in Alaska. It's a
Oh
lot of
wow.
West Coast cartoonists, but it's in Alaska and it's in Juneau, Alaska. It's incredible. It's a little convention on like a Saturday, and then they take all of the comic people that came to the convention and put us in a bus and take us to a children's camp in the wilderness of Alaska for like 4 days where we just do like workshops for each other and talk about the industry and hang out and like connect in a way that you don't really get to when you're like at a convention and you're working. And it's really, really cool and unbelievable people come. And last year, Scott and Raina were both there, and they were just off of the big tour that they had been
Oh
going on.
my
So they were
God.
really like, "Whoa, we needed this to like remind ourselves that there's like a community here, and it's not just a business." And it was really cool. I is one of the most incredible things you can do as an artist is to like find opportunities for fellowship in this way. And um, doing that with like Raina and Scott is so wonderful because it's a great reminder that they're not just these like famous friends of mine. They're like,
Right.
incredible people that you can learn from and talk to and who've known me for more than 20 years now. And it's really, really cool to have these
Yeah,
long-standing
that was
relationships.
honestly the other reason that I wasn't, even though Chris and I get along really, really well, the other reason that I didn't like interrupt him and Raina, other than just being scared to, was like they were having just such a, they were laughing and like you could tell it was old friends that didn't get to
Oh
spend
yeah.
much time together, and it's like I just can't bring myself to go
Yeah, I get it.
inject myself there.
I
Like I
get it.
stood near enough that if Chris had seen me and wanted to, he could have gone, "Hey, Dad, come over
Right.
here." But I wasn't.
They were locked in.
I couldn't be that guy. Okay, I'm
Sure.
gonna have to move two book clubs to go see you, but it will be worth it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's heavy metal and saga.
Oh,
So
okay.
like the people are people that I know and love and will understand, and we
Great.
will possibly wind up having them on different days because
Perfect.
the saga has to be on certain days because one of the members has a D&D game on alternate Mondays, so it's got to be so that it's around her
Yep.
D&D game.
Familiar.
And the
Ugh.
heavy metal is the one that's been going on longer, but it also has a couple of people that very much want to be in the saga club, which is how they wind up against each other. It's like
Awesome.
we'll talk about heavy metal from 7 to like 8:15, and then or no, from 6 to 8:15, and then 8:30 we'll have the new group to talk about saga.
Nice. All right. Very cool.
This is how I avoid the abyss, Lucy. I think
Yeah,
we
the
have
despair.
10, I think we have 10 active book clubs right now on 22 panels.
Like bring it on. Whatever it takes, right?
I actually wound up doing the math today because I was joking. Like so many of my friends are like, "Yeah, you do 3 podcasts a day," and I'm like, "Nah, I don't do three. I don't even do one every day." We've been at this for 4 years, and I've only done like 714. So that's like every other day.
Fairly, fairly.
And my wife is like, "Yeah, and besides, sometimes it's five on one day, and then you take a whole 2 days off."
Whatever it takes, right? Ugh,
Hey, you know that you're doing something. Well, something. I'm not going to say right or wrong. Something when you're
something.
when your Eisner Hall of Fame member buddy tells you that you need to fire your scheduler. And you point out to him that you are the scheduler, and he says, "I don't care. Heads must roll."
They're working you too hard up in corporate.
Yeah, and not paying enough either.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mom.
right.
Thanks, Adam. My two patrons are also family members, and thanks, Andy. Andy wound up having troubles with Patreon, but he still sends the money anyway, which means we don't even have
Nice.
the cut taken
Persevered.
away. Works out
Oh,
even better.
beautiful. The
Um,
original kind of patronage. It's great.
exactly. Okay, we've gone all over the place, and now I just
Yep.
know that you'll have to come back,
Okay.
because I
What
want
were
you to
we
be able to
talking
get to
about?
your kids.
Oh, college, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
but
college?
we'll come
Yeah.
back to that. I'm gonna ask the last question because I feel like we're just like we're
Let's do
at
it.
that point where it's a good time to wrap and
Yeah.
assume that we'll do this again.
Okay.
It's it's
Perfect.
it's like it's like like when my wife and I are visiting a city and she starts to go, "Whoa, we're not gonna have time to see this," and I'm like, "Kelly, we can come back."
Perfect.
I
What
mean,
a
unless
great
you want to be a
excuse for
4 hour
more travel.
podcast, we've done
No,
that.
I do probably have to put my child to bed at some point,
Yeah,
but fair
that's
enough.
that's kind of what I was thinking is that like you might want to read a comic with him or something before. I mean, he
True.
already came and got the blanket, so I'm assuming he's curled up somewhere with a stack
Definitely.
of graphic novels. He's read like two of them while we were talking.
At least. Yep.
But I have a favorite closing question that I ask every time, so you have to answer it the next time you're on too.
Okay.
Um, Tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but we don't really have rules. Preferably storytelling, but again with the rules. But
Okay.
something that you love that not enough people around you have experienced and you want them to, so you have more people to talk about it with.
Hmm. I'm looking at my bookshelf. Hold on.
That's the common response.
Yep. Um, okay, let's see. Something I love that not enough people know about. God, I feel like such a basic bitch because I'm like, everybody loves all these books.
Hey, I mean it's totally allowed. I mean, just to give you an idea of like the range of things we get, we go from obscure comics to to obscure and not so obscure movies to Nate Powell. The last time I talked to him said, "This is going to sound really weird, but I started reading X-Men again, and I'm not in a
Oh,
crowd of people who read X-Men."
yeah, no kidding. Okay, wait, hold on. I'll
And
get
then
some.
Andrew Iden, the last time I talked to him, said his tomato plants. So
Aw.
there's a lot of room. I accept all answers.
Okay. All
But
right,
I
good to
do
know.
like it when somebody manages to come up with a comic that I haven't read.
Oh, a challenge. Okay.
It is.
Um,
Particularly if you love it, because if you love it, I'm gonna like put it on my list of things that I need to go track down like
well, I mean,
immediately.
but you know Chicago, so you're gonna know both of these things that I am bringing over. So two of my best friends here
Probably,
in
but I
Chicago.
wasn't enough in the indie scene until recently. So we'll
It's
see.
not, it's borderline indie. So, two of my best, closest, longtime Chicago comics people in my life are Sarah Beacon and Corinne Micha. Sarah Beacon is known for her Let's Make series. She's got Let's Make Ramen, Let's Make Dumplings. She did Let's Make Bread last year, which I think is downstairs because my kid stole it. And she's coming out with a Let's Make Cocktails book, and they're amazing. They're so incredibly detailed and like she gets really fussy. She gets really into the weeds on the recipes and like it's just really incredible stuff. And I'm always surprised when I meet people who don't know her work, especially if they're a fan of my work and they're like, I love your
I
food
don't
comics. And I'm
know
like,
it well
she's
enough.
awesome. Oh, she's the best. So Sarah's a huge comics
It's been
person
on my
in
radar,
Chicago.
but I don't know it
Good.
well enough. So it
Um,
just went higher on, particularly because I don't think I knew that she was in Chicago either.
oh yeah.
I knew
Longtime
that she'd
Chicago
done the
comics person.
Challengers thing, but they have enough people from non-Chicago that I didn't just particularly because I think she was there for Let's Make Ramen. So like I didn't immediately assume it has to be Chicago.
Not really a known Chicago food, but she did Let's
Yeah.
Make Bread at Challengers and I went and she brought all these breads to eat. It was
Oh
awesome.
wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. All right, so Corinne Mucha, she's not making that many comics these days, but she's amazing and she's these are two of her comics. I think she's one of the funniest comic artists that's ever existed and she has
So wait a minute,
from
what
a
do we got there?
professional this is called
Because I gotta
Freshman
Google. We got
Discipline. Corinne Mucha, so her name is Mucha, Mucha, and she's got This Is My Alaskan Summer, and it's she won a Xeric to publish it,
nice.
which was a great grant for self-publishing back in the day.
Yeah.
This one's from Zest Books, and it's called Freshman: Tales of a Ninth Grade Obsession and Other Revelations. These are really good, but if you can track down any of her mini comics, which I think you can probably find at like Quimby's maybe. She has ones about her cats or her mother's cats and the cat like I am a professional cat comic artist. Like I have published
Right.
books about cats and
Right.
I consider myself something of an authority on this. Curran's cat comics are so wonderful and they're so great. It's amongst the top cat comics of all time.
Okay.
We also have Nicole Hollander at Chicago, and she is amongst the top echelons of good cat comics as well. Do you know her work?
I feel like I recognize that name.
She's a grandmother of comics. She's great. She's
Yeah.
Chicago. She has a memoir one that she's has that's called We All Ate Wonder Bread. And then the one
Yes.
that I had when I was actually a kid and was very formative was called Everything Here Is Mine. And it's from the perspective of the cats. And it's the Sylvia series she did that was really like
Okay.
subversive and cool and very Chicago. She's awesome.
Yeah, no, I remember reading Sylvia in the paper
These are
at
all
about the same time I
Chicago.
was reading
I know.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
My last Chicago lady that I just have to plug really quick because she's my neighbor is Kyla Roberts. She's awesome, and she like retired from comics, and then she made a new book that just came out this past year. So she's, she's like doing the Miyazaki thing where she's like, no, no, I'm done. No, actually. So and she's awesome too. So these are some of my Chicago ladies who I know and love,
Okay.
whose
There are
work
too
is,
many
I think,
Kyla Roberts when I look them up. So give me a
how
title.
dare you? Hold on. Okay.
Cause
Uh,
cause cause I'm assuming she's not the acrobatics and tumbling at Quinnipiac.
that's not her.
Right.
Kyler is spelled
Oh,
K
Kyler.
E I L E R.
Ah.
This is
That
one of my
that
favorite
that
ones
that
of
changes
hers.
it.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
that now she's coming up. American
yeah,
comic
good.
artist.
Kyla Roberts, and she's like slightly older than me, and her daughter, her kid is about
Yeah, she's
17.
she's 2 years older than me, which makes her 7 years older than you.
Yes. And her kid is like
Oh, this is
17 or 18 now. So the
okay.
stuff that she did when her kid was really little was really, really um, influential on the way that I made comics about my kid when they were little because it's so good. And
Okay.
when I
The
moved to
the
Evanston, I found out she lives like three
this
houses down from me.
this four panel at the beginning of her um just on the front page of her website is like subversively funny.
They're so funny. Her comics are so
It's
funny.
it's just it's just a woman in bed and Robin coming through the door saying, "Hey, it's not your fault," and sitting down on the bed and saying, "You can blame me." And by Robin, I mean like Burt Ward shorts
Yep.
Robin.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think about that except that it makes me laugh.
Right? They're all like that. They're just really funny, and they're just like these weird conversations that she has with friends and stuff, and
Well,
they're
see,
hilarious.
you just officially gave me like you pulled it off. You gave me absolutely three things that I like didn't know that I need to go read.
Oh, good. Okay. They're all
So
great. They're all Chicago. They're all radical
yeah,
women.
yeah,
So
I
I
like
feel
all of
proud of my
those things.
selections.
You should be.
Good.
You should be. That's a. But then you get a special bonus question because A, you're in Chicago / North Suburbs, which in some ways is even better because my wife teaches in Wilmette and I
Oh,
teach
much.
in Lincolnshire. So North Suburbs is our uh,
Stomping
our
ground.
area too.
Yeah.
Um, and you're a foodie, so like favorite place to go to eat.
Depends on what I'm in the mood for, of course.
Of course.
The place that we go that's like special occasion kind of thing is Latour, which is the former chef at Found opened up Latour, and it's in this really weird building in Evanston that used to be like a bank, and it's like a weird round spaceship shaped building, but it's
Okay.
really good like Parisian French food. So it's kind of like fancy special occasion. I know you're celebrating your anniversary this weekend. We go there for our anniversary.
Yeah, no, see, we are I mean, I'm not completely ruling it out forever, but we are like diametrically opposed to generally eating anywhere where it starts at $50.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
looking
totally
at the
fair.
review here. $50. We're in the more the $10 to $20 per person.
Yep.
We're
Totally
teachers,
feel
Lucy.
you.
You should.
I
I mean,
understand
you got to
completely.
think back to before you were New York Times best selling.
I mean, this was like our 10-year anniversary and special occasion place, but our usual place, our regular, is called Lucky Platter, and it's here in Evanston, and it's just this really cool diner kind of place. It's very old Evanston. It's been around for many
I
years.
think I've actually eaten here.
Excellent.
I don't think I've taken. Well, no, actually, maybe we took Kelly. I know that I've got a friend who's also a foodie, who's lived in Evanston for God probably 20 years now. And I'm pretty certain he's taken me here.
That tracks. It's
But I
down the street from Booked, the
yeah.
bookshop that I love. So it's on the
Okay.
same street as Booked, and so you can hit those both up at the same time, which is great. And then across the street from Booked is this Belgian chocolatier, Puron, which is really good. And you can get in the summer, warmer months, you can get chocolate mousse that they make that's just amazing. And so every first and last day of school, I take my kid for this chocolate mousse. And then in the winter time, they do hot chocolate at this chocolatier, and you can go and get it. And it's just like a melted chocolate cup. It's so good. So yeah, so that's like the
Does
trifecta on Main
yeah,
Street. There's also a really cool, very old school newsstand on the like the corner across Chicago Avenue there. So if you're doing like a whole Main Street run, that's really fun. It's very old-fashioned newsstand. It's like where I used to buy my comics kind of place.
right.
And then there's like a used bookshop down the street. So Main Street corridor is
I definitely know the used bookshop.
yeah.
I've spent
Squeeze
many
box, used books and
many a time there.
records.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, thank you so much, and we absolutely need to do this again when
Yes,
your
please. That'd be
schedule
great.
will allow.
Thank you.
Um, because among other things, like we cut it short because I remember having children that age. You need to go spend time with them,
True.
and I can feel it. We could keep going. I've had a
Yeah.
couple
You
that
could get the real comic expert in my house to come and talk to you who is 9. So
well,
in the
I mean, I would
future,
be all for that if he
okay.
ever wants to do it, and you guys come up with like a pseudonym for him, because I assume you don't want
Sure.
him. We'll find
Oh,
like
they've
a
got one.
voice
It's Pal.
distorter. That's
Hmm.
right,
Oh
he's
no, like
Pal,
yeah, it's
and
Pal. Like
we'll
the
find a voice distorter so that we got to make it cool for him, otherwise he'll get bored.
true. No, I
We
think talking about comics would pretty much carry us both. Yeah.
okay. I would be totally down with that. Like if
Cool.
you're
All right, I'll
serious,
talk to
like
them
let me
about it,
know.
see if
We
they're
will
into it.
set that up.
All right.
Because like I'm always looking for different voices. Like I'm so happy that I have a couple Gen Zers in book clubs now
Oh
because
yeah.
they've lived such amazingly different lives than we have.
Yeah.
I mean, among other things, we remember a time that was different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's generally how it goes when you realize it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucy, it has been an absolute pleasure. I so
Likewise.
wish that I had reached out years ago, particularly because I could have just left a note with Patrick.
True.
Um, but we will definitely have to do this again.
Yeah, that'd
So
be great.
for 22 panels, this has been Lucy Knisley, and we will see you after the next page.